Okay. We are, I think, 80, 82, 83. Pay base, pay Himmel. Right? Stone. Let me share what I have low resources here. Let's just share some programs, I guess. What is there? Um, this is optimizing memory. Okay, so we are on pay base, which is very similar to what we've done before. I'm going to share the screen. Okay. Pay base. So, like I said, this is very similar to one we've done before, which is was about Golos and the Kapar of Golos. And which one was that? That one was it Pay Olive? Uh, screen is not moving. Uh, no, it was Pay, I think. Yeah. There's Pay was Tikkun Kashini Mokum, which custom Torah goes through Rotseach. Right. So now he's elaborating on that was fixing anger is change of place. Like the Torah said, said a person should go on person who's a murderer should go into Golos. So now he's saying a similar idea, but he's making it actually much more um, contemporary, making it to practical application, so to speak. Shalom Navin, if a person is wanders a lot, a person thinks he needs that for his own benefit. In other words, need to travel to make it because you have better job opportunities. You need to travel because you have to make money, and you make money by taking business trips. You travel a lot, and traveling is a very disruptive thing. People like to travel nowadays. I like to travel, but traveling disrupts your schedule, disrupts your routine, it disrupts your normal avodas Hashem. So he says a person who travels, even though he thinks he needs it for his own good, definitely sinned by murder. He committed some murder. Dugmas Kain, like Kain, who was made to be to wander and travel. For live mamish, not necessarily actually murdered. A person who will probably be aware of the fact that they murdered, even they murdered unintentionally. Ella, rather dugmasa, something similar to murder. Called achre ape, such as he embarrassed people. It says if you embarrass somebody in public, as if you murder them because you cause their faces to become white. The blood drains from their faces, and so therefore, Chazal draw a parallel between that and murder. So to somebody who causes in general his friend great anguish, great difficulty. Chayetzibo is a similar problem. So to some people who overheat themselves with sexual desires. Joshua Zal. Because I'll say the Mukubalim held that getting sexually aroused inappropriately is a kind of murder of the your zera of your seed. So all these things are potentially similar to, although of course they're not actual murder. So shenishkat, v'niga mokom, if you become uh, tranquil, calm, and you come fixed in a certain place. In other words, you now no longer have to move around. You're already able to stay stationary. Yeda kitikenze. You should know you fixed it. In other words, if a person's traveling a lot, or a person's moving around a lot, that means they probably have something in their life story which is similar to murder in the sense that it's a Either ben olam makom, ben olam chavero, probably ben olam chavero, but could be ben olam makom, like you said over here, some sort of sin which falls in the category of destroying, ruining, breaking down. And if you become calm and sit in the same place, then you fix it. Sometimes tefillah davening helps to atone for this in a partial way. Mashkasa b'kain, like it says by kain, behind vayesha beretz. No, he davened to Kosh Baruch Hu. He asked Hashem to diminish his punishment, to give him some sort of fix, and he was able to sit in the land of Nod. It's interesting because it's kind of like a paradox, because vayesha means he sat. And Nod is the land of wandering. So he had a fixed place in the land of wandering. In other words, even though he didn't completely fix his sin, he was able to settle down somewhat. So therefore, a person who davens to Kodesh Baruch Hu, even if they have such an avera, which we require them to go into golus or to travel on, it helps to diminish the responsibility. Vainu. And Tzadok gives a very fascinating explanation to this idea. Really fascinating. He says, Ki chen makom ha'yoshvav. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world that a person should like the place where he lives. The famous medrash, it says there was a certain Talmud who came to a certain place. I think it was called Givat Shammai, but I don't remember if that's correct. And his Rebbe, so he was homesick. He asked him, why are you homesick? And he said, I miss my home. And he said, what's with your home? He said, in your home, in my home, there's so many mosquitoes that when a baby's born, they have to smear him in mud in order to prevent the mosquitoes from biting him to death. So his Rebbe said, "Wow, we see what Chazal taught us is true. People have an attraction to the place where they live, even if the place they live is not a particularly nice place." There's a Gemara says similarly. There's a concept of chen isha bala, marriage of even if a woman is not particularly attractive, but her husband can love her anyway and have a connect, feel a deep bond with her. And the Gemara then says there's another chen, which is chen Torah lomdeh. The Torah gives even people who don't seem to be particularly wonderful people in terms of what they look like, in terms of their perhaps even behavior. But if they are involved in Torah and immersed in Torah properly, so then they have a special chen, a special grace as well. So so you have this idea that there's a special chen, kasher ein chen makom love, when a person doesn't have the chen of his place, doesn't feel happy in the place where he's supposed to be, where he should be. Who kiger v'noided sham, and he feels like he's a stranger and a wanderer there. Adayin lo iskarprako. He's not fully atoned for. Ad shechem makom alav, until he feels good in the place where he lives, which of course is a lot of people, especially in our day and age, don't have that feeling. But I think a lot of people today probably have problems with terms of their relationships with other people, and have sins which are similar, obviously not as severe, but have similar to murder in the sense that they have destructive relationships with other people. But so therefore, we understand that nowadays people that have chen mokom means that they are feeling they don't have yet a fix for their interpersonal relationships or their connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a way when they have a destructive relationship. And he says that it's not just true by physical wandering. It's also true in thought. When a person doesn't feel happy in the place where he's living, so it means he's still been wandering around in his thoughts. Even if he's not wandering around in his actual physical travels. He's still wandering in his thoughts. And Rusiman Shetikin Amaisa. It says some sort of fascinating things. It's a sign that he fixed his deeds. He's no longer, so he's not physically traveling anymore. It means he fixed the physical problem which he possessed. Doesn't fix the thought yet. The thoughts are still in the wrong place, and that's what very similar, very much a connected to what the Baal Shem Tov said, famous Baal Shem Tov saying, which Tzadok himself quotes many times, although he doesn't quote here. But Malcolm Shemachshavto Shel Adam Shamu Kol Adam, the place where a person's thoughts are, that's where the entirety of a person is. In other words, you're not really in your physical location. You're wherever your mental space is. That's where you are. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending a message to a person. A person is sending himself a message. If he's not happy where he is, in other words, his machshava is somewhere else. He's here, his machshava is somewhere else. So that means, and I'm not talking a positive thought. There are many, you put yourself in a positive way in another place, right? Putting your thought in the Beis HaMikdash, putting your thought in Yerushalayim. That's good. That Baal Shem Tov would tell you is a good thing. But if all your thoughts are always occupied by what we say in English, the grass is always green on the other side of the fence. They'd rather always be on the other side of the fence. You always see somewhere else. So that means that you're still wandering in your mind. You're not fixed. And that means that you still have this issue of how you're getting along with other people, how you're dealing with these types of Averos, which are similar to Ritzicha. So it's a very practical application of what Reb Tzadok said previously in Pei, in 80. He's saying here in 82, that a person should feel calm, tranquil where he is. He does feel calm and tranquil where he is, even if it's physical. It means he has something he's doing which is wrong. If it's mental, there's something, there are thoughts which he has which are wrong. So a person always should be working on their thoughts to not be, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this. I'm far from it. But a person should not be annoyed at other people. A person should not be angry at other people. A person should not have in mind to wish or any type of damage in any other person. Okay, that's Pei Beis, and it's a very fundamental one. And Pei Gimel is also a very fundamental one. כמו שיש בקיון העולם הזה, פעמים שאדם מוצא מציע, או הון רב, או זוכה בגורל לוטריה. Just like in matters of this world, sometimes a person finds a lost object, which or lost objects, which are a great treasure, a great wealth. Or it can win a lottery and win a lot of money. We saw Sharon, he gets rich below Shumigia. He gets rich without any toil, without any effort. He found something, he won something. That's an amazing thing, Tzadok says, but it's a very fundamental principle. Some people can get knowledge of Shas and post-game. Some people can get levels of Avodas Hashem, not because they worked at it. No, they won the lottery. They won the spiritual lottery. They found the lost spiritual object. It's an amazing concept, right? But explains a lot of things. How some people you see have great spiritual accomplishments, even though that doesn't seem to come to them with much effort. So Agamshi Elmar Parakama the Megillah, even though it says the first part of Megillah, Loya got the Matzatz out Amin. This is that is if you do not work and you found, don't believe that what you found. In other words, Fum Tsar Agra, you have to invest anguish, difficulty in order to get rewarded. So it says, Lotami, don't believe that you actually acquired what you acquired if you didn't put work in it. So there's certain that whatever it said about there, there are things where loya gatu matzasa you don't, and you still fine. Specifically, he's referring to retain your learning. In other words, a person has a good memory. It's siyata d'shmaya. It's not necessarily his own efforts. People have photographic memories. People have very good memories. It could be the luck of the draw. Now, of course, it's not luck. Of course, Baruch gave it to him as a gift, but it's a gift. So it's a gift. It's a person zoicha, not necessarily because he deserves it, but that Hashem decided to give it to him for whatever reason. For him, in his mission in life, he was zoicha to this. It's not going there. There's an issue there, which is talking about when you toil and you don't find l'chud sharimida tevim ruba, which is don't they? The Gemara says there that your gata below matzasa is not. That's where it says that even if you toil, sometimes you won't be able to remember and sustain your learning because HaKadosh Baruch Hu it has to give you siyata shmar of work. But he says it's not just going agata below matzasa, so it's going the flip side on lo agata matzasa. Right? Just like the person that has doesn't have photographic memory, he can toil and toil and toil, and he's not going to have a great memory. So to the other way around, the person can he's saying kal v'chomer. If in a negative way, the person can toil and toil and toil, work, 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 then not remember. So a person can not work and remember. Because if it works in the negative, it certainly works in the positive. For me, the raw, for Peronius, it doesn't work. So it certainly works for me, the Teva. That's what he's saying. It's possible to work and not find. So too, it's possible to not work and find out siyata dishmaya by divine assistance. So the Noach found favor in Chazal's eyes, in Hashem's eyes. And Chazal Amruzal, Chazal say amazing thing. Who matzah? He found favor in Hashem's eyes. Hashem lo matzah, but Hashem didn't find him. In other words, he that's kind of like the man who says that in generation of Avram, had he been alive in generation of Avram Avinu, he would have not been significant. He was only significant relative to the other people of his generation, which we were showing. So, but Noach, although on his own personal level, perhaps was not great, certainly not like Avraham Avinu, but relative to the people of his generation, he found favor in Hashem's eyes. And that it's kind of like winning the lottery, because he wasn't worthy in and of himself, but because of circumstances, he found favor in Hashem's eyes and he was saved. And sometimes a person is able to, without any work, that he's able to protect himself from Averos. Tzaddik. And he says, Tzadok takes it a step further. He says, now that Hashem helped Noach out, even though Noach didn't deserve it, and he kept him from Averos. And Noach was tzaddik, but he didn't work at it himself. Hashem gave it to him as a gift. So say yes, sometimes Hashem protects a person as a gift. Because again, amazing thing about Tzadok. He's saying, you think it's not fair? You're right, it's not fair. Who says it's fair? Some people work and work and work, and they don't succeed. Some people don't work, and it's effortless that they succeed, even in avodas Hashem, not just in secular matters. Noach, and that's my drag of Noach. Shemida k'neged mida Hashem bonus, and the mida k'neged mida, he was protected. Just like he's protected from averos, so too he was protected from being hurt with the people of his generation. And sometimes a person gets tremendous levels of perception of knowledge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his light. And similar to what we said, Hashem found Noach and pumped Noach up with his protection and with his connection. So too, HaKadosh Baruch Hu found Am Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu motzeh shebezeh. Kosh Baruch Hu found us, and I should say Kosh Baruch Hu Matzah Kama Shebezeh Miyuchas Kanken Hamatzil Lamala. This with this the Metzia also is connected to on high, right? In other words, more than the calf wants to nurse from the mother wants to nurse the calf. So the idea is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sometimes finds us. We don't find HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a beautiful word from Rabbi Soloveitchik about this. He says that Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, but Moshe Eved Hashem. He says Elokei Avraham means the God that belongs to Avraham. Elokei Yitzchak, the God belongs to Yitzchak. Elokei Yaakov, the God belongs to Yaakov. But so Hashem belongs to Avraham and to Yaakov. But by Moshe it says the opposite. By Moshe it says not that okay Moshe. It says that God belongs to Moshe. It says Moshe Eved Hashem. Moshe belongs to God, because he says that's the difference between the way they worked, the way they operated. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they went to look for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they found HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when you find a lost object, you acquire it. So they acquired Hashem. Comes Hashem of Abraham, Hashem of Yitzchak, Hashem of Yaakov. Moshe is the opposite. Hashem went to look for Moshe. Hashem found him by the snare. Hashem recruited him there. So Moshe belongs to Hashem. Right? Not Hashem belongs to Moshe. Moshe belongs to Hashem. So look here, saying the same thing. Noach was found by Hashem. Right? The Am Yisrael was found by Hashem. Right? Noach didn't go to look for Hashem. No, Hashem found him. Am Yisrael didn't go to look for Hashem. Hashem found us. We belong to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Noach, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they deserve, so to speak, what they got because they worked very hard at it. And they acquired HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Noach, and in different ways, Moshe and Am Yisrael, right? Hashem found us, and He gave us a gift. He gave the Noach a gift, preservation. He gave Moshe the gift of Torah. He gave us the gift of Torah. So they're different ways of operating. In the final analysis, what you're judged on is not the level you accomplish, the level you got, because very often that level can come, says Tzadok, as a gift. So you're not going to get rewarded for that if you got it as a gift. So what you do with it. Moshe Rabbeinu did a lot with his gift. I'm supposed to do a lot with their gift. Noach, obviously we can't judge Noach because relative to us, he's an extraordinary tzaddik and way above our level. But Noach, he messed up a bit after he came out of the ark, right? He came out, it slipped up a bit. Whatever happened there. But in any event, you're judged by what you do with the gift you get. When you win the lottery, how are you going to deal with it? And most people, as we know, win the lotteries, they go bankrupt. The gift doesn't work out for them in the end. Gifts are very dangerous things. People have to make sure to use the gift the right way. Otherwise, the gift can be terribly detrimental for them. Okay, so the Chazal say about lost objects, you only find them when you're not paying attention to them. If you sit down and ask Kosh Baruch Hu, I wanted to win the lottery, I'm talking about ruchnius now, not spiritual, physical lottery. God, you need to get, I want to get special brachas, this special brachas. Now, you're not going to do it. It's not going to, because you only can't find lost objects when you're not looking for them, not when you're looking for them. So you have to get it as a byproduct of your normal activity. Maybe you'll come across it. But don't sitting there and hoping that Kosh Baruch Hu, doubting the Kosh Baruch Hu even, they give you a gift, that's not necessarily going to work. He says, Makom, nevertheless. He says, you know what, there is a way to do it. But see, the Jivrei Chazal, we find Chazal, Socher Pol Lakim Mitzios, you can hire a worker to gather lost objects for you. And then whatever lost objects he finds belong to you. Vein Dvarim Ktanim, that's in small things. V'gam b'dvarim gdolim meaning big things. Well, Yoav Arba Zuzi Sapunoi B'Akiva Rav Gamda V'Darim Daf Nun. They would give Rabbi Akiva Rav Gamda would give 4 zuz to a sailor. Say invest in something for me with these 4 zuz, and they made great riches off the deal. So he's saying that it's possible. There are ways that a person is going to be able to be zoche, not that by investing. In other words, like you go to, I assume since I'm Tzadok's a chassid, like he says, go to somebody to daven for you. That's like acquiring somebody to hiring somebody to look for lost objects for you. Or if you have a small opportunity, you see something, invest. If you have a possibility, connect to somebody, or connect to a sefer, connect to some sort of a person who's an Ovid Hashem in some way. So then, put a small bet in that, you never can tell about the return. So Tzadok says, yes, it's true. Many things are lotteries, and you can't necessarily expect to win a lottery. And sometimes it's not good if you win a lottery, and certainly winning a lottery doesn't demonstrate you're a big person just because you won the lottery. But there are ways to try and invest in winning the lottery, again, indirectly or directly with a small thing, and seeing what comes of it. It's very similar to what it says in Chok, I think it's in Mishlei. Throw your bread on the water, because as many days later you might find it. In other words, look for small opportunities. You never can tell. Maybe this is the ticket which is going to be Zocher and get you to merit to make a big victory. So I'm saying, on the one hand, don't be impressed by the people who win the lottery. It's not necessarily for their benefit. It doesn't prove that they're great people. That was Kosh Baruch Hu sent to them. On the other hand, don't expect you're going to win the lottery. right? Because it's very random. On the third hand, so look for small openings. You never can tell. Maybe a small opening someday it may open a big opening. Maybe not, but it's possible. So therefore, invest. You'll see what happens. Start making your startless. Okay, it can't be. Even though ultimately you might not win, but keep your eyes open. Okay, these are two very good pieces. We have to stop here for today. Have a great week. We'll speak to you later. Take care. Bye bye.